Have you ever had something that needed to be done and then you got so impatient you tried to do it or fix it yourself and then you made it like 200,000 times worse than it ever should have been? Yeah, we're going to be talking about that today from Genesis chapter 16. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. My name is Aaron Hawk, and if this is your first time visiting with us, I just want to say thank you and welcome. God's Word Made Simple is an online discipleship ministry designed to take God's Word and make it simple. Specifically, we want to help you take God's Word, understand it, apply it to your life so that you can grow in your faith and relationship with the Lord. All right, guys, so today we are going back into our series on Genesis, specifically chapter 16, and we are going to see how the Aaron paraphrase of this is, Abram set the world on fire with his impatience. So chapter 16, verse 1, Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. Now remember, Abram was waiting for children. I mean, he was old. He'd been waiting a long time. So let's not beat up on Abram. He had waited a long, long time. And she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, and this is Sarai's idea, which remember I talked in a previous video, which by the way, if you haven't watched the other videos from Genesis, check out the series there, specifically Genesis chapter 12. I'm not going to repeat here everything that I said about the struggle that Sarai had, but remember this was a major struggle. She did not have children. She really wanted children. It was an important thing in their culture. Go check out my Genesis 12 video. I'll put a link up there for Genesis 12. Go check that out and then come back to this, okay? And probably watch the other ones in between as well. But hey, now that you're back, let's keep going, okay? So Sarai and Abram are desperate, but Sarai in particular is the one taking action right now. So Sarai said to Abram, Now behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Remember, God's the one that promised that Abram would have a child, okay? So now they're trying to fix it themselves. Please go into my maid. That's the Bible's polite way of saying, go have sex with her. Perhaps I will obtain children through her. So Sarai is now like, look, children by proxy is good enough, okay? And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. And we don't know how much struggle there was or wasn't. We don't know. All we know is that ultimately they devised this little plot. They tried to force God's hand, right? God promised them children. He didn't say, you figure out a way. He promised that Abram would have a child, and ultimately descendants as numerous as the sand on the seashore or the stars in the heavens. But now they're trying to take it upon themselves to fix the situation because God's not doing it good enough. And it's really easy to be hard on them when I say it like that, but guys, we do the same thing to God. We get impatient, we start trying to fix it, and then everything blows up in our face. Well, that's what happens to Abram. Okay, so verse 3. After Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar the Egyptian, her maid, and gave her to her husband Abram as his wife. So now Abram has two wives, violating the whole passage in Genesis, which, by the way, Genesis, if you haven't checked that series out, go check that one out as well. So he's contradicting what the natural order that God has given us. So he's contradicting what God has given us for marriage. He's taking a second wife. Verse 4, He went into Hagar and she conceived. Boy, that must have hurt Sarai. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. See, she tried to fix it herself. She thought she'd be okay with it. She's like, look, at least I can get children one way or another, right? But it sounds like, I mean, we don't know that it was right away, but the way that this reads, it sounds to me like it was pretty much right away she got pregnant, right? Sarai was not as good with it as she thought she was. And Sarai said to Abram, May the wrong done me be upon you. How is that for some good logic? You're the one that set this whole thing up. Abram shouldn't have gone along with it. He did. So don't get me wrong. He has guilt here too. But Sarai, this was your plot. This was your idea. What are you talking about? I gave my maid into your arms, but when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. See, this is womanly infighting, where now she's like, see, Hagar hates me now, right? I mean, you can almost picture it, and there's probably some truth to it, right? You can almost picture it, right? You wanted children, you weren't able to have it, but I got pregnant. I've got your child, right? Which means now I've really got your husband, because who's he going to want? Some dried up old prune or the beautiful Egyptian woman who is able to give him children, right? So you can picture the background. Now, we don't know that all that was going on, but it would be very easy to assume, it would be very easy to understand that going on. At the very least, in Sarai's mind, it was going on. So the latter part of verse 5, may the Lord judge between you and me. In other words, I'm calling God to be the judge between us. But Abram said to Sarai, behold, your maid is in your power. Do to her what is good in your sight. There's some godly leadership, Abram. By the way, that was latent sarcasm, right? Of course, he wasn't obviously a very godly leader yet either, because he went along with this dumb plan. And now it's blowing up in his face, and it's going to get a lot worse. This is nothing compared to the results that come later. So Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. So this poor woman's been used and abused here, and now just running away. So verse 7, now the angel of the Lord found her, Hagar, found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. He said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from and where are you going? In other words, what are you doing? It's the Aaron paraphrase, right? Where are you going, or where have you come from and where are you going? I hear that as, what are you doing, right? And she said, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai. Verse 9, then the angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit yourself to her authority. See, there was a slave-type relationship going on here, so he's saying, look, go back, be under the authority you're supposed to be under, okay? And remember, slavery in this day was not the same as slavery in most Americans' understanding of the word slavery. So I'm not getting into that in this video, but it's not the same thing, okay? Verse 10, moreover, the angel of the Lord, and by the way, I didn't say it was right. Verse 10, moreover, the angel of the Lord said to her, I will greatly multiply your descendants. I'm putting the emphasis there. I will greatly multiply your descendants so that they will be too many to count. The angel of the Lord said to her further, behold, you are with child, and you will bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, which means God hears, or multitude. And you shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has given heed to your affliction. So, okay, you're going to be blessed as well. However, here's where more of this whole problem in the Middle East comes. He will be a wild donkey of a man. In other words, he's going to be a royal ass. And I mean that in the donkey sense. I'm not cussing, okay? His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him. And he will live to the east of all his brothers. Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her. You are a God who sees, for she said, have I even remained alive here after seeing him? Therefore the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. I am probably murdering that. Remember, don't worry about murdering things. It's okay. It's more important that you understand than you can sound all intelligent by pronouncing all of these weird names and words correctly. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to him. So now we have a royal mess that has been made, because now we have the beginning of two kingdoms. Now, I'll get into this in a later video, but we now have the beginning of two kingdoms that are going to continue being at war with each other over who is the rightful descendant of Abram. And that war continues to this day. So don't believe the Bible is relevant? Ha, you've never read Genesis. So guys, the moral of the story here, my encouragement to you, is when you feel led to do something, or you feel like you need to wait on the Lord, I want to encourage you to wait on the Lord. Don't let impatience cause you to take matters into your own hands. Now, personal responsibility is different. We need to do everything in our power for the things that are ours to deal with. But when there is something that the Lord is supposed to be handling for us, we need to wait on the Lord, trust Him, and not make a royal mess by trying to handle it ourselves. All right, guys, if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments down below. Show me some love with a like button, and then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon if you want to hear other content from this channel, and I hope that you do. Guys, thank you very much. I am enjoying this. I hope that you are too. Thank you very much, and God bless.